Nadine. Welcome back.
Hello, hello. It's lovely to see you in this wonderful spring. We've got a beautiful day where we are. I don't know what you've got today.
Stunning. Absolutely blue sky. Yeah, I can see a few clouds, but it really is
Mm,
just beautiful right now.
it's lovely. I'm feeling the spring today, which is beautiful.
So if anyone is joining us live, say hello so we can
Mm,
see who's looking at us, listening to us even. And basically you may get a message at the top of this video saying allow StreamYard to share your comments so that we can see them, okay? And today I've invited Nadine in the group to chat about two things really. So first of all, you may have seen that I run a workshop called Winter Wellness Series with the lovely Lorna, who's a yoga instructor. So Nadine was followed our little program, so she's kindly agreed to share some feedback with us, which is amazing.
yeah.
And then we'll just share as we are moving into a new season. We'll share just some top tips on how to stay calm as spring approaches. So let's start with the Winter Wellness Series. So thank you,
Yeah.
Nadine, for joining us. How did you find it?
Do you know, I loved it, and it was so wonderful. It was what I call doable. I think sometimes when you sign up for these things, they can be a little bit overwhelming, can't they? But it was 3 sessions, 3 weeks. Perfect timing for me. It was Friday, middle of the day, so that was really lovely. But also what you gave us was actually something we could do there and then. And you also gave us some handouts, some sheets and lots of information you gave us, and the recordings, so we could dip back in, which was really nice. So very, as I say, I don't know if it's a word, but doable. So that was wonderful. And
Yeah.
you kept it to 3 specific points. I think week 1 was stress, which of course I'm big on that. So
Yes.
what to do about stress. And it was lovely, your beautiful combination of you talking about your expertise. And then I think Lorna started it off with some breathing first of all, didn't she, at each
That's
session?
right.
She gave us some music beforehand, which was lovely that we could play. And also then it passed over to you for all of your lovely tips and advice, and stress especially. I just remember your cortisol ambulance analogy and the fact that we can't, serotonin, the happy hormone, that's the one I call it, I don't know if that is right, we can't make that because it's made in our gut, isn't it, if we're stressed. So how important it is to lower that. And then when we moved on to Lorna, we had, I think it was 3 simple postures that we did, which was so, she guided us through how to do them. I'm a little bit like I vary things from my own way, so we could all do that. But really just wonderful combination of the two. And I think the next week we went on to balancing the hormones, which was so, so important, isn't it? How, to get that balance, and then balance with the yoga postures that Lorna gave us as well. And then I think the 3rd week was resilience, was it? And that is really, really important for boosting your immunity. I think that was what attracted me, because it was all about looking after yourself during the winter months when we need to look after our immunity.
Yeah.
And actually that was, you covered that in so many ways, but really focused in that last week, didn't you? So
Yes, that's right.
So I just felt the combination was lovely, as I say, very doable. You could actually access it and do it. There wasn't homework.
No.
It's nice. Print out and, as I say, recordings. I did dip back a couple of times because it's nice to be able to do that. Made lots of notes like to do. But as I say, you sent out handouts. So I thought it was really brilliant. And I know you're going to repeat it. So I would encourage everybody to look out for that Winter Wellness Series and join in, because it is really, you gave so much.
Fantastic. And for me, it was really interesting to work with someone and actually deliver, a joint workshop. So I had met Lorna, years ago, and kind of reconnected online actually. And we put this together so quickly because we were very much in tune on the topic and really wanted to share that same message. And I think nutrition and yoga go so well together. You know, a bit of movement and then a bit of nourishment can make you feel so much better. So especially in winter.
Definitely.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Nadine, for that. That's really helpful. So now, I mean, obviously, we are planning to run this series again, and we are in discussion about running another one for spring, summer. So watch this space.
Brilliant.
So as we are now approaching, springtime, we can see all the lovely daffodils coming up, and which is so exciting. Let's now share a few tips for people who are watching about, how to get ready for spring and how to stay calmer. As with everything that's going on in the world, it can be so easy to get caught up and really stressed out when we can feel really powerless about the situation around us. So Nadine, I know you are the queen of relaxation.
I like that title. I'll have a crown. How lovely. But yes, you're absolutely right. It's that time of year, isn't it, where I think the mentality quite often is like, oh, can we believe that we are? I mean, at the moment, we're middle of March, aren't we? It's that kind of, some people put a lot of pressure on themselves because it is a quarter through the year, isn't it? And especially people in business like you and me, we have our goals, we have our things. And so sometimes a little bit of anxiety can kick in because we recognize where we are and maybe what we haven't got done, and we can be a bit tough on ourselves. So again, a lot of what I talk about to people is recognizing when that's happening, and just take a moment and just let it go, release. So very simple with breathing techniques, meditation, however deep you want to go, just recognize. And I say all the time, you've probably heard it so much from me, no rush. There is no rush. The year might feel like it's galloping along, but actually we can take our time in it. And this wonderful idea of connecting with nature, which I do so much, and I teach people how to reconnect, because we always used to do it. Really just taking a moment to tune into what's happening in nature. And this year, actually, I think nature's been a little bit slow. I think the snowdrops came out a bit late, the daffodils came out a bit late. So I'm taking the lead from nature and going, okay, there is no rush. So make of it what you want, but why not follow nature's lead? Indeed. So it is quite nice to do that, actually. And just, as I say, give yourself a break. If you're not where you think you wanted to be, there still is time. It's actually just going, nothing is that important to get stressed about, really. It's actually just going, right, look, if you're one of those very, very organised people who has goals and sections in their day or sections in their year, then just have a look and go, okay, if it didn't get done, it can get done, or let it go. Some things don't need to be done, that's why they didn't get done. So it is really recognising that, isn't it? So do you find that with your business? Are you a little bit focused on where you should be by now, or?
Yes, I do have goals, because it keeps your mind focused. It gives some intentions as well as goals that are a bit more gentle than goals, But I think it's also remembering to enjoy the journey, and that we're doing this for a reason, and and sometimes we forget that, and actually life is now, so why not enjoy it? Right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the very essence of mindfulness, isn't it? Which is a lot of what I teach people. It's very simple, but it sometimes takes a while to grasp it. But if we are not in the moment, we're either thinking ahead, which is usually worry, or we're thinking in the past, we're going back to something, or regretting, or giving ourselves a hard time because we didn't do something. Or sometimes there's quite a lot of sadness in the past, So being in the moment is key. And as I say, mindfulness is quite a simple practice, but personally, it took me years to get it. Literally years. But nature again helps us, looking at what's going on. I'm looking out my window at the moment as I'm speaking, at the trees and the blue sky. Just noticing what's going on, taking a moment, even if you are looking out of a window, even if you are, if you can't get out in nature that much, you can still engage. And starting to notice what's going on is so huge. As I say, the daffodils, I did a little meditation around daffodils recently, and just using what they are, focusing on their structure, that kind of thing. But also, shoots are starting to come out, aren't they, with the trees? So it's really lovely to, just tune in and go, this is what's happening in nature, but it's not rushing.
Mm-hmm.
It's slow. You look at a tree, it happens every day, little by little.
Yes.
You get the little shoots and then they grow a little bit by little bit, but they don't go, oh, I've got to hurry. They just take their time, don't they? And I love that. So using nature to, as I say, show us is really powerful, but also just looking, giving yourself a moment just to look at something. Stand still for a moment and look at a tree. Who does that? It doesn't happen very often, does it? You might feel silly sometimes doing it. I walk my dogs and I actually will stop, and they don't like it when I'm still. But I'll look at something. I'll take a moment to look. I've got a very good friend who's a photographer, and if she comes out dog walking with me, she's always stopping to take a picture, and which is actually in itself very mindful, isn't it? Very meditative.
Yeah.
I can't say meditative. I shouldn't have to say that. So it is just using nature, and I'm very big on my morning ritual, if you like, or what I do to set myself up for the day, and that is I actually do go out into the garden. I wander around barefoot if I'm brave enough, feeling the earth beneath my feet, feeding the birds, doing what I want to do in the morning, taking a moment. And that is what it's all about. So sorry, you're just going to say something.
No, I just want to say, I take, obviously when it's a nice day, I take my daughter to school and we walk around when it's sunny, and there's a lilac tree on my street that I love, and it's just starting to bud, so every day I show her the changes. You can literally see the changes from one day to the next, and she really enjoys that. In fact, if I'm not careful, we'll be late for school because she just keeps looking around.
How lovely, though, that she's doing that and you're encouraging her. So, be late for school. No, I shouldn't say that out loud.
No, I can't. I really can't be late for school.
No, you can't be late for school. No, I know. I shouldn't say that. But it's that kind of thing, isn't it? Or maybe if you can allow 5 minutes for that on your journey.
And I do. Yeah.
We need to schedule our time, don't we? Even if it is only 5 minutes. I do in the morning. I will get up a little bit earlier to actually make sure I've got time. So, because I don't like rushing, especially in the morning, I'm not very good at that. So, factoring it in, giving yourself that time and actually go, because it is really good for mind, body, and soul to actually just take a moment and just tune in. If we're rushing around all the time, there's a saying, isn't there? And I don't know who said it, but don't forget to smell the roses. And that's all about, don't rush through life because you're missing something beautiful, aren't you? So it is really important to tune in. And I think as well, there is sometimes a little bit of anxiety because we're starting to see the signs of summer. And personally, some people can put themselves under quite a lot of pressure. You must get this as a nutritionist, what's the saying, beach body ready, and not a saying I particularly like, but do you find people are starting to go, oh, I've got to then look after my nutrition. Maybe they've done all the cozy comfort eating in the winter and now things are changing.
And they've got that holidays planned in a diary. So that's it. That's the goal, which is great. It's good to have a little goal.
Can be,
motivating. But yes, the more stressed we are, the more likely we are to hold on to our excess weight as well. So that's why
it's cruel, really, isn't it? It's very cruel. But it is that kind of just noticing what's going on. And some people do this every year. It's the same pattern. Or here we go, legs out, that kind of thing. We get a little bit stressed about that because we're changing, and it's the change, isn't it? We're changing. It does happen every year, but just recognizing, that actually there is change can be good, and it's our choice how we change and how much we do. I think that's the key, isn't it? So, but there's, as I say, my rituals are things I love to do as we step into spring. It's so wonderful just to, as I say, sometimes in the morning I will go out barefoot because it's really good. It's grounding. If anyone's familiar with grounding, just to connect with the earth beneath our feet. And you can almost feel, I can feel the temperature change. I can feel that the life coming up, almost like when I stand still and I really focus and I close my eyes as I just did then, it's almost like I can feel the grass growing. That might make me sound really strange, but there's energy. It's starting to happen, isn't it? There's energy and there's warmth, and it is so, so wonderful just to go, right, I'll have a bit of that. But remember that balance, to relax as well, because it's not all about rushing.
Yes.
So that's a lovely way.
And while we're talking about garden, I saw you were sharing a tea recipe that I was really intrigued by.
Yes, well, I would hardly call it a recipe, but yes, I think let's grand it up, a recipe. Nettles. I love nettles. And as soon as I start to see them popping up, I just get a little bit obsessed. I want to have my nettle tea because I love my nettle tea. And what I do, obviously, if you're picking them, you know, people, I've got them in the garden, whatever, you've got to be a bit careful where you pick them and how you pick them. I use, when I'm on my doggy walks and if I'm going in the garden, I just use a plastic bag, one to have put them in and one to pick them in so that I'm protecting my hands because obviously they sting.
Yes.
But I just pick the top little shoots, they grow back again, so it's wonderful. I do a little bit of a meditation before I take it. Anything I take from nature, I ask. I actually say, you know, and I'm looking at the nettles, I'm really appreciating what I'm seeing. I go, can I have some? Is it okay? And then you just, you get guided to where it's okay to pick them, and I don't pick too many. And then I make my tea. So it's a very simple recipe. Put the nettles, wash them, give them a little run under the tap. Put them in. I've got a lovely little mug that acts like a teapot for anything at all, just to infuse them. And put the boiling water on, and however strong you want it, however long you leave it, it's entirely up to you. I would encourage people to experiment. And then it's your tea, just pour it out and you drink it. And I love it.
And it's so beneficial. I mean, nettles very rich in iron and magnesium, calcium, so it's very nourishing actually, and quite cleansing as well.
Yes, I think they do. That's a word of warning. They are a diuretic, is that how you say that properly? So they do make you go to the loo, but that's okay. So just be aware, you know, don't have too much, be careful. I know you did a lovely video, which is so important, about being aware of medications. I think it's one because it's a blood cleanser, isn't it, nettles?
Yes.
So be aware if you're on things like warfarin, that kind of thing. Just be aware of what medication you're taking. But there's so much goodness in them. And I find that there's a little bit of, do you know that smell of cut grass? That if you you don't suffer badly with hay fever, you probably love the smell of cut grass. When I'm drinking my nettle tea, that's what I'm getting. So I really love that whole just fresh, lovely thing, knowing it's doing me good as well. And another thing I do, and hopefully you'll give me brownie points for this, when I've got my my nettles, when I've finished having the tea, I will either put them in a smoothie or I will actually put them in a soup. So I don't like to waste
Amazing.
There might not be any nutrients left, but you know, that's where they go. Because I'm not brave enough to eat them as they are, even cooked. They still, there's a little bit of furriness still for me.
So really?
There might be in my mind, but there's a little bit. Some people have them, you know, as greens, you know, at that point, because they really are, aren't they? They're like greens. So, but for me, I do like to have them whizzed up a little bit. I'm not good enough. But people make soups. People do all sorts. Pesto, nettle pesto is a good one. You know, it's just really, as soon as you put the hot water on them, the sting is gone. So you can do what you like. You can. And you know what I heard on the radio this morning, which is so in sync, isn't it? There's a nettle eating contest, and I'd forgotten all about that. Some places, they have long strips of nettles and they eat them, and it's I wouldn't advise it, but people do it, and they're very get very green tongue because people in the older, it's got to, hasn't it? It's one of those things like eating chilies, isn't it? One of those things. It's probably,
my word, that sounds a bit.
It's a show off strong thing, kind of thing, isn't it? But that I heard that on the radio this morning. But also, nettles used to be used as a dye. They're very strong. You can dye fabric with nettles, obviously green. Green.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's a lot of uses. They're wonderful, and I do as well. I do, as I say, use nature for meditations, and nettles have properties that we can tune into. There's balance. If you look at the structure, there's leaves on either side, so there's balance. They have their root system. They are strong. They put up with all the wind and everything. And also, there's a lot about boundaries, and boundaries is something I'm big on with my Farmer Self method, creating new boundaries and protecting ourselves. And I think it's to do with the very nature. You can look it up. There's a lot of folklore about nettles. I think it's to do with the very nature of the fact that they sting. So they remind you, you know, don't get too close. So it's okay to be a bit prickly, if you like, and create your space. So I do a lovely meditation around nettles, and I might record something one day and share it, because I haven't actually recorded that one. But there's a lot of properties that we can tap into. So yes, nettles, as you can see, I can talk about nettles forever.
And then as we are talking about spring and you know, let's touch a little bit on, or carry on nutrition. You know, there's obviously more produce coming into the shops, and it's really important to try and vary the diet as much as possible, because we can really get stuck in a rut or get a bit bored at this time of the year. So, you know, kind of looking out and seeing what else is there. So I'm thinking artichoke is a really nice cleansing vegetable. Beetroot is excellent for liver health as well. And then things like parsnips are obviously been available throughout the winter, but you can really be quite creative with this. And in my last newsletter, I shared lots of ways that you can prepare parsnip with, including pancakes. Apple and parsnip pancakes are delicious.
Oh no!
And you've got a soup recipe with parsnip as well.
Yes. Yes, it's not mine. It's a Nigella recipe, but it's very simple. It's parsnips and spinach. And just saying that, why not add some nettles? I just thought of that. There you go. So I put a bit of chili in it. I'm not sure if that was what Nigella suggested, but that lovely combination because you've got a bit of sweetness there. You've got the thickening, haven't you? So when you whiz it up, it thickens itself.
Yep, that's right.
So yes, I was very grateful for your lovely advice about parsnips, because I went back to that.
Great.
So, and the fact that you can eat them raw. I didn't know.
Yes,
so,
you can grate them and make it into some sort of salad or slaw, you know, so that's really nice.
Yes, I think, but I think you're absolutely right on that. Is that I've spent a lot of time in the winter having vegetable soups and quite liking that. I have to chop things up and just put things together. And now it's turned into, I don't need the warmth so much, so salads so much. And I'm actually planning to have a Waldorf salad, because I've got the apples and the celery and the walnuts.
I love that. I
probably will put a bit of chicken in. I'm not sure if that's really right or not, but that's, you know, that's something that a nice combination. So
yes. And so adding greens, you know, your rocket, watercress are very dark leafy veg, you know, are really rich in nutrients, you know, more than your lighter lettuce, you know, sort of light green lettuce. So
I think that's quite a point, isn't it? Because I love watercress, but it's got a bit of a bite, hasn't it? And I think you're right, you know, that classic, I used to spend all my time with an iceberg lettuce because it's crispy and nice, you know. But there is so much more, isn't there? Rocket and all sorts of different things. And I will actually put like green beans in a salad. I'll put vegetables in, bits of broccoli and everything. And the seeds and pumpkin seeds and that kind of thing, you know. So it's quite nice to have a bit of crunch in there, isn't it? And
definitely. You can use raw broccoli as well. Grate that in a salad. That also.
There you go. There's another one. So that's. It's amazing. I learn all the time. So would that be a good one for using the stalk bit? You're grating.
You could, yes, you could.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've got to be honest, the stalk quite often goes to the dogs.
Yes. Oh, do they eat that?
Yeah, my dogs. I've got two, they eat anything, so they competition.
Oh, wow. For the stalk, I would peel it, remove the outside, that's quite thick.
Yes, of course,
and quite fibrous as well. But the middle bit, you can definitely, and when you make a stir fry, you know, when you chop the broccoli normally, you can also peel the stalk and chop, you know, what's left to put in a stir fry as well. Works really well.
And good for stir fries this time of year, isn't it? That's that middle ground, isn't it? Between the soup and the stews and the salad. So stir fries are really good. There you go. Broccoli stalks. My dogs are going to go, when am I getting a broccoli stalk again?
No more. Well, thank you, Nadine, for those top tips. That's fantastic. I think it's going to help people, hopefully, to appreciate this new season, be kind to themselves, and make those little steps to maybe bring in some new things in their fridge, in their house, in their plates, you know. And so would you like to share where we can find you, Nadine, and where people can connect with you and learn more about you?
Definitely. Like the little meditation that I talked about for daffodils, I've recently opened a Facebook group called the Calmer Self Cafe. So you can find that and join that, and there's lots of things already in there, but I'm adding all the time, and I will do now. It's prompted me. I'll do something on nettles, but also this. Obviously, we're in your group now, aren't we? Your lovely Hormone Harmony group, and my Calmer Self YouTube channel. This is going on there with the other lovely chats that we've had. So there's lots of information there as well for people to find. So find me there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. So for anyone who's watching now or maybe later, just put a little hashtag replay if you're watching later. And if you've got any questions, either for Nadine or for myself, feel free to post, and we'll reply. And
we will answer them. That's right. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. Fantastic. Well, I think it's now probably time to go and enjoy that amazing sunshine while it's here, because we never know how long we get
Exactly.
with us. But thank you again, Nadine, for taking the time to chat with me in the group.
My pleasure.
And yeah, I'm sure we'll meet again very soon.
Thank you. Right. Thank you. I've loved it. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for watching, and let's see you all very soon. Bye bye now.